Okay, this is another video on the AR81, and I haven't done a video for a few days now, so I thought I'd just do another quick video on the trace function that this tester can do. Now basically what it can do with the trace is you could actually probe any point on a board and it will look for different pins. So for example, if you wanted to find where address 5 went to on the board, you could tell it trace A5, and then you go to the board and you've got about 40 seconds just to probe around the board to look for it, and if you find it, it'll let you know. If you don't find it, it'll tell you it hasn't found the pin. So for example, you could have a broken address line to an EEPROM or something, and one way of finding that is to say trace whatever the address line is. You probe the EEPROM on the pin you know it should be on, and if you don't get it, you know there's a broken track. Now the only thing that I will say about this is when it's connected up to the board, it will trace any of the pins that you want. However, some of the pins might go through buffers, so you need the board powered up really for it to do this. If you don't have it powered up, then for example an address line going through a buffer will not get through to the other side, so you won't get anything. So I'll just demonstrate this in action. I've got a tester set up and I've got the typical Pac-Man board still on the desk, so we can show you this. So as you can see, there we have the tester set up, and my Pac-Man board is down there, as you can see it, exactly as before. I actually have the cable plugged in, you can see just down there. I'll move this a bit more, and that is the cable linking the processor socket up to the tester, so I've still got it all connected in. It's exactly as before, and the board is powered up. I've got my probe, which is there, typical oscilloscope probe, ×1, as you can see, plugged into the tester. And what I'm going to do now is I'll show you what you type into the tester. Now I've got it on the large screen again, so it will work on the LCD, but I did this just for clarity. Okay, so as you can see, it's sitting there and it tells me it's ready. That's the typical boot up screen you'll get, right? So what I want to do first of all, and you can do this with a touch screen, you can do it with a mouse, etc. You can see I've got the mouse there. The first thing to do is click that window there, and you'll see I've got a cursor. At this point you simply type in trace, and you can use capitals, you can do lowercase, it doesn't matter. It has to be on a new line, so you do trace space and then the pin you want to look for. It will trace all the data lines, so D0 to D7. It will trace all the address lines, A0 to A15, and you can also trace other pins, like for example the RD pin, write pin, IORQ pins, things like that. You can trace most of the pins. Obviously 0 and 5 volt you can't trace. So if I say I wanted to look for, say, A7, so you just type trace A7, as you can see there, that's it in there, and I'll just hit enter and then it will go tracing. So for example, I'll do it and then I'll show you doing it on the board. So if I do enter, you see it says searching for A7. So if I then probe around the board, it bleeped and it found the pin. Now I happen to find the pin on pin 1 of one of the EEPROMs, which, because it's a 2716 EEPROM, pin 1 actually is A7. If you probe it on any of the other pins, you only need to touch it briefly as well. It works very, very quick, and it works by sending out a digital signature onto each pin, so it's accurate. So it doesn't matter about any other signals flying around the board, it will only look for a particular pattern of bits, so it won't get confused by other signals. So it's quite accurate. So what I'll do now is I'll do exactly the same again, and I'll show you me probing the actual board. I'll pan this down a bit more, try and get it a bit closer so you can see it. That's probably a little bit better, maybe a little bit out of focus, but hopefully alright. And I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to take trace, A7, and I'll show you in action. So again, it's searching for A7, though you can't see it of course. And now what I'll do is I'll probe it. So you can see all I have to do with this is just run it across the pins. Try not to short them out of course. See, nothing happens. You can do any pins you like. But if I do a 7 there, it finds it straight away. So that's it basically, excuse me, that's it tracing pins, and it will work as long as you have the probe in the digital mode, so it's set up as a logic probe. It will work. If you set it up as an analog probe before you do it, you might get a strange result. It might not even work, to be honest. So the best thing is set it up as a digital probe, which is what its default is, and then you can simply type in trace, and you can do it anytime you like. You need the cable hooked up to the processor socket to do it, obviously, because it needs to send a signal out and then receive the signal on the pin. So if you haven't got the other connection, you won't get anything. If you don't find the pin, it will time out after about 45 seconds. So it gives you 40 odd seconds to go looking for the pin. If you don't find it, it will time out anyway, and it will tell you it hasn't found it. And that's the end of the video. Thanks very much.